A common theme among most Kelly Lake race fans and crews is the strong bond of family and friends. Several families have second or third generation racers, while other families have added to the sport in various other facets, which stand as contributing factors toward this town's enormous involvement in racing.
Actually, my dad got involved. I think my dad was on the flag stand at Hibbing for, I believe, 14 years.
Brothers Skeeter and Mac Estey have done a standout job of carrying the torch for their family. Skeeter has taken home 2 consecutive Midwest Modified national titles in 2017 and 2018 to accompany his vast collection of track championships and major wins, including a record-setting 12 shootout victories, 2 Humboldt National Invitational wins, the Wazota 100, the Legendary 100, the Wild West Shootout, the Red Clay Classic, the Winnipeg Invitational, the Emo Invitational, and the Wazota Classic in Grand Rapids.
We used to have a go-kart track in the backyard. Me, my brother, and Zach Wallers, my cousin Steve, who raced for a while. There's a few other kids. We'd have 4 or 5 carts on a Saturday, and we'd run laps and races in the backyard.
I guess the first memories I really do have of competitive racing are with those cousins in the backyard of the Estes. We all had go-karts. Steve typically had this fast souped up one, and mine would always typically blow the rewind off of it, and I would get a little upset.
That's all we ever did was race. Everything was race cars growing up, and I mean, that's all I ever wanted to do. So I've poured my heart and soul into it and try to be the best that I can be.
Skeeter Estey continues to lead. Checkered flag will be out for Skeeter Estey. Johnny Broking second.
Did you ever race your car up and down the roads?
Yeah, actually, my very first car, Pure Stock, we took it behind the lake before I ever even brought it on a track, and ran a few laps around the lake, and just to get feel of driving it. And
Mac has 2 shootouts under his belt, as well as winning 2 Legendary 100s, 2 Northern Nationals, the Wazota Classic, and an emotional victory at his Uncle Troy Roberts Memorial Race. Three generations of Wallers family members have competed in the Northland. The late Dave Wallers raced before he began helping his son Pete's racing efforts. Unfortunately, Dave left this world way too soon, but not before winning one last time in a Pitman's race with Pete's car, shown here.
Some of my most fond memories are from watching my dad sitting down on the cement at the Hibbing Raceway, that they don't allow you to do now, down on the stage, and watching my dad. And but he was instrumental. Before he died at Grand Rapids Speedway, he did everything. Showed up at the house, helped me work on the car, towed the race car all over. So without my dad, I would have never been able to accomplish what I did, do as well as I did. So he was just a huge, huge presence in my racing career.
Hall of Fame member Pete Wallers claimed back-to-back Superstock national titles in 1990 and 1991, along with multiple track championships and a plethora of victories in the region, including 3 shootouts, the Northern Nationals, the Bemidji Stampede, the Harvey Hansen Memorial Race, and the Hibbing Hobby Stock Invitational.
The atmosphere in Kelly Lake was electric as far as racing goes. There was always something happening in the racing world. Well, there was always a car running down the road, there was always something happening, there was always drama going on. Growing up in Kelly Lake definitely shaped my racing career in a big, big way, yeah.
Do you have a sense of pride being a Kelly Lake racer?
That's an understatement, I would say. I think being from Kelly Lake and being a racer, I still feel like I'm a racer, even though I haven't been doing it. And I think once you're a Laker and a racer out of Kelly Lake, you will always be one, and I have a huge sense of pride being from Kelly Lake.
Pete has no doubt inspired later generations of racers to launch a racing career, including his son Zach, who is a major force whenever he is on the track. How do you feel about watching your son's racing career unfold?
It's priceless. It's the most exciting, outside of the memories of watching my dad. My dad was my hero, and I'll get emotional talking about my boys, but can't even tell you.
The biggest influence I had was my dad. To get into racing in big cars. Also my mom. We bought a go-kart when I was about 12 years old. Got into clay go-kart racing.
Zach Wallers in that 71 and the 37 of Skeeter Esty battling it out for second and third.
Zach also has a shootout title and fittingly won the Dave Wallers Memorial Race to accompany his resume of winning ways.
Just remember being a 5-year-old kid, waking up on a Saturday morning, just excited to hear all the cars, see people driving them around town in the trailers. It was just super exciting. I looked forward to it. Ride down the road, there'd be a car, you could stop and chat with them and bug them and get in their way, and they got mad at you, you'd ride to the next garage. If you came from Kelly Lake and you didn't run your race car down the streets or at least around the lake a few times, I don't think you can say you're a racer from Kelly Lake. Some of my heroes lived right down the road. Very cool, and very proud to be from Kelly Lake.
The father-son duo of Doug and Sam Skalski are yet another example of a close-knit Kelly Lake racing family. Doug raced for several years in 6-cylinders and superstocks, picking up numerous wins and point championships at Grand Rapids. He then served as a dedicated crew chief for his son when Sam grabbed the reins and forged his way into the racing world.
Well, it was probably interesting in the spring to see who would fire up first. I mean, basically it started off with Girardi and a few others, and then more and more came.
Sam has claimed multiple track championships and feature wins during his 28-year driving career, including Proctoberfest and Thunder in the Pines victories. Feel good about watching your son race?
Oh yeah, especially when we really got the car working, you really felt good then.
We used to go to Girardi's garage, used to go to Dave Ronchetti's garage, and my mom and dad brought me to the races. We went every Saturday night for sure. I mean, then my dad raced and I helped him. And just it was just the thing to do, I guess, in Kelly Lake. Help Kelly out a little bit. And
Did growing up in Kelly Lake make you the racer that you were?
I believe so. Just being around it all the time. I mean, learning from different people, and it was exciting. Yet, like, yeah, you always wanted to know who was the first person to take their car around the lake down there and stuff like that. And I guess it just goes back to when we were kids. Everybody hung around at somebody's garage that was racing, and then they all got influenced by that and wanted to do it. And it was a great time in life, and I definitely have pride in it. I mean, like you say, where else in the country you get all the racers coming from one little town that were all involved? One time we all helped each other out. So lots of pride coming from this little town.
Tristan and Addison Labarge make up half of all active Kelly Lake racers and are the only father-daughter team to have called this community home. Tristan has won several features and track championships in the area and is now entering his 20th year of driving. Addison is currently the last in a long line of Kelly Lake racers. She has only been behind the wheel for a couple years now and is steadily improving with every lap.
I've been around it my whole life, and my dad's raced, and pretty much everyone in my family's either been around racing or been to the races, had a race car, all along that. So it's like I kind of wanted to follow, especially in my dad's footsteps. Like, I like being from here because it's just like, it's the town of racing. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Have you ever test ran your race car around the lake?
Oh yeah, that's where I learned to drive a clutch. That's where I drove my first car around the lake.
Do you think there will be any more new racers coming from Kelly Lake?
I hope so, but I don't know. I really do hope so, because it would be cool to keep it going. Everyone knows everyone, everyone helps everyone. Say you need help on your car and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I know there's multiple people around here you could call, and they'd come to your house and help you.
Labor Day shootout titles are also held by Dan Pierce and Jeff Ruzich. While Dan ran a more limited schedule, Jeff had a tendency to travel and race more. Both were fierce competitors, and just like all Kelly Lake racers, they knew how to get around a racetrack. Jeff consistently piled up feature wins and track championships wherever he went, and also won the inaugural Wazota Classic at Grand Rapids Speedway.
When I started going to the races, as a young kid, 8, 9 years old, go watch my brother race, and Bobby Girardi was a big influence. The whole town, everything was always racing, no matter what, When we were younger, there's not a lot to do, so you're either racing go-karts against each other, pedal bikes, and pretty soon it was motorized go-karts and dirt bikes at the Bear Hill, we called it. We'd race our motorbikes there, and it's always been competitive. Everything's been competitive between all of us out here. It's a lot of pride, saying you're from Kelly Lake and you raced, and with Kelly and Pete and Sam and everybody else that raced out here.
It's likely that many names have been inadvertently left out of this video, especially the older racers. But a few more memorable Kelly Lake speedsters who haven't been highlighted yet include Lee Ruzich, Gary Ruzich, Skinner Labarge, Terry Funk, Gary Tuin, Andy Lubovich, Dave Ronchetti, Isaac Hudson, and Thad Johannesson.
We literally had a car on every block. I remember when I was racing, when I started, I think there was 11 of us out of Kelly Lake that had race cars, and it was just fun. It was competitive. It was, we helped each other out. A lot of nights, drinking beer in the garages and going from garage to garage, and it was just a fun place. The atmosphere was competitive and it was harsh, but man, it was fun. Pete Waller's on one side of me and Kelly SD 2 doors down on the other side. And so you just, those guys are just excellent natural born race car drivers, and which I don't consider myself at all. And so they definitely made me better, and just the competitiveness, Jeffy and Danny and Sam and all the guys out there, I think we all made each other better. Quick story, in '86 when I built my first car, I think my sister was in the car, and I think it was Johnny Pierce, and maybe even a little Danny was really little at the time. We took it for a test drive around Kelly Lake, which is, the road around Kelly Lake is dirt, so we used to test there quite a bit. And I missed the telephone pole by about 2 inches, almost totaled it out and killed all of us. So again, a lot of fun, a lot of good memories. The ice racing, that usually took place at about 2 in the morning. After they kicked us out of the homer or the corner, we'd head out to the lake. We had a track plowed there, and we put a few dents in each other's cars out there, but all in great fun. The highlight of my racing career was winning the 1984 Labor Day Shootout, which thanks to the Joey Provenzino, and last year we did that throwback car at Labor Day, and there was that sense of pride. And then, man, Pete won 2 national championships coming out of Kelly Lake. Kelly's won, how many features in championships, and I've won a few in a championship, and I know Jeffy's won them and Danny's won them, and for a tiny little town, it was just a lot of wins came out of that little town, for sure. How can you not be proud of that?
Kelly Lake has and will play a significant role in local dirt track racing into the foreseeable future. And as long as there is a swamper out there on a racetrack somewhere, they'll be making their way to the front, and chances are fighting for the win. As far as why this small community holds such a strong presence in racing and has produced so many great race car drivers, I think the answer is just the right amount of Kelly Lake water mixed with people. Good-hearted people. I should know. After all, I married a Laker girl. The reality of a shrinking iron range has not spared Kelly Lake. Downturns in the local economy are apparent in the neighboring cities as well, and unfortunately have also spilled onto the local racing scene. But rest assured for now, because there is still a small fire burning just to the west of Hibbing, Minnesota, and a little of that magical racing buzz captured within the soul of Kelly Lake.
There was racers, that's all I know.
I think I remember the first time I welded a bumper, I was 10 years old.
Perfect. Who the hams is coming up on me? Is it true you're putting a big illegal engine in this car so you can be really, really fast?
No.
Jeffy Ruzich.
Hey, how's it going, Lem?
Horse shit.
Yeah.
I was in a boardroom, and we were talking about the Bob Dylan Museum we were building in Oklahoma. So through conversation, I mentioned, hey, Bob Dylan's from Hibbing. A little while later, and there's 10, 15 people in this room. A little while later, we're talking about the Tulsa Uprising Museum, also in Oklahoma. and we're bringing in a Greyhound bus to refurbish. And so I mentioned that, hey, Greyhound happened to start in Hibbing. So the owner of the company, the boss, he tried to embarrass me a little bit and made fun. Oh, the Earth rises and sets on Hibbing, Minnesota. And he finished off the meeting by saying, guys, we're gonna hit this. We're gonna hit it out of the park like Roger Maris. And I started laughing. I said, Hibbing guy. And he's like, shut the hell up. I'm like, true story, Google it. I'm not lying. And the reason I bring that up is Hibbing and Kelly Lake are a very special place. A lot of successful people come out of there. Again, I think it comes from the competitiveness. There's a drive. The whole Iron Range is just a hard-working, get-it-done kind of place, and a very special place to grow up. And Lem, I hope you keep this in there, because I don't think I lived in Hibbing for the first 48 years of my life. And as you get out and travel, you experience things that people look at me kind of funny. And I mentioned to Lemmer in an earlier conversation that I think a lot of times people think I'm BSing them when I tell these stories, but there's no embellishment needed. We lived hard, we worked hard, we played hard up there, and I think all of that equates to the successful competitive racing out of Kelly Lake.